The AL Central promises to be yet another dogfight. Will Cleveland repeat? Is this Detroit's year? And what's going on with the Twins? Justin Lada is here for an MLB crossover.
You are Locked On MLB Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans, and welcome to a Locked On MLB, Locked On Guardians crossover. This is the podcast where we're either going to be talking about all of Major League Baseball, specifically the American League Central, or your Cleveland Guardians all season long. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully. Follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter or whatever they're calling it these days. And on Instagram, you can follow me. I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. But leave your messages right here on the YouTube page. I will get them. And today's episode is brought to you by our good friends over at Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. I'm not going at this solo, however. It is a crossover. And joining us today is the host for the last few seasons of the Locked On Guardians show. I believe they were the Locked On Indians when you started. That's how long ago. Were you here for Indians, or was it already Guardians?
They were Guardians. It was the first year. It was right before the 2022 playoffs.
All right, then do you know what? Color me corrected. The voice you hear right now is Justin Lada. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, Sully. Thanks for having me on. I have not forgotten, by the way, about what you said at the first MLB game night or first MLB squad show. You were dogging the AL Central, and here we are talking about the dogfight AL Central.
Yeah, well, my point that I made, in fact, my point I've made about the American League, I don't think there's a super team in the American League. I don't think there's a 100-win team. I did think that you didn't need 90 wins to win the AL Central. And I may still be right, but there is a team in the AL Central that kind of wants to win 90 wins. And we'll get to that in just a second. Before we go on, though, we talked a little bit about the situation in Miami, and I did a salute to the great Jose Fernandez. And I asked who was the first pitcher in Marlins history to crack the top 5 in a Cy Young vote. And I know it's in bad taste to have a Cleveland fan on and bring up the Marlins and the great pitchers. But do you know the answer to that? The first Marlins pitcher to crack the top 5 in the Cy Young voting?
Is it Livan Hernandez?
All right. Well, Ken Mitchell, HI51, says Livan Hernandez. He had some great years with the Marlins. You two are wrong. That's not the correct answer. And Big John 08865 said Al Leiter, which is a terrific guess. Incorrect, but terrific guess. What is it?
Kevin Brown?
Kevin Brown is the correct answer.
Yes.
Kevin Brown was the runner-up to John Smoltz in 1996. And they really were. I mean, they were neck and neck. You know, if you're into the sabermetrics, which no one was in 1996, their WAR is almost identical. Smoltz led them in some categories. Brown led them in other categories. People forget because, you know, Brown got hurt during his huge contract with Los Angeles and punched the wall and broke his hand with the Yankees. People forget Kevin Brown's peak was tremendous, especially 96, 97, and 98 when he split between Miami, or they were then called Florida Marlins, and the San Diego Padres. He was a legit ace. There's a reason why he got that Mongo contract. The Dodgers didn't just say, you're a mediocre pitcher, take all this money. But enough about pitchers who helped defeat Cleveland in the World Series. We're going to take a look at the AL Central. Before we get into Cleveland, and we will, Cleveland is off to a good start. They have a better record than the Yankees. They have a better record than Houston. They have a better record than the Red Sox. You know, in fact, only 2 teams in the American League have a better record than Cleveland right now. Do you know who they are?
The Seattle Mariners and the Detroit Tigers.
2. There you go. Like everyone predicted. The Tigers, let's give them a little bit of credit. The Tigers have the best record in the American League. Now, I have stated many, many times that you cannot really look at records and standings until Memorial Day, when you have about a third of this, when about a third of the season in. So we are still just sort of, prematurely looking at some of these. But give the Tigers credit in terms of getting off to a good start, because Tigers had the phenomenal finish last year, and this great start they're having is kind of showing that it wasn't a fluke, and neither was Tarek Skubal's Cy Young that he won last year.
I'm not surprised at all by Tarek Skubal. I just thought it would be hard for the Tigers to replicate the hot finish they had last year. That took a lot of bullpen work from them. They didn't have a second starter, but their rotation's fantastic. Casey Mize has come on strong this year. I've loved Reese Olson for a while now. I'm not surprised with what he's doing at all. And to even further cement how good they are, they've lost a couple of Jack Flaherty starts. Like, he's not been that great. Javier Baez is having a resurgence. Spencer Torkelson has more homers this year than he did all last year, I think, already. So
yeah, he's in double digits right now.
Yeah, they are figuring things out up there, and there are still good things to go. So I thought it was gonna be hard for them to really keep that pace up they had at the end of the year last year, but they've done it. I think the Tigers are very, very scary.
Well, I mentioned yesterday the fact that Javier Baez is even a passable major league player compared to what he's been the last few years. That's like making a trade. You've traded a broken, useless player for a decent player. That's an improvement. And let's give credit to another acquisition they made last year. Obviously, they traded Jack Flaherty and wound up getting Trey Sweeney. They wound up getting a starting shortstop for him, and then re-signed Jack Flaherty. So essentially, they got a starting shortstop in exchange for letting the Dodgers borrow Jack Flaherty. But let's talk about an acquisition that flew under the radar in terms of effectiveness. Tommy Kahnle, who was a good setup man last year for the New York Yankees, kept throwing changeup. He's been unbelievable this year. His ERA, not that ERA is the end all be all for statistics, but the fact of the matter is his ERA is at least going into yesterday's game was 0.71. No one's scoring off of him, and he is becoming an unlikely anchor. We knew he was a decent reliever. It's not like this is not like, oh my God, where did this come from? But he is pitching. His first month is unbelievable. He didn't pitch at all on Sunday because the Tigers took the poor Angels to the woodshed and beat them 13-1. Bless Angel fans. 37,000 Angel fans showed up to Anaheim to watch them get beaten like a rented drum. But you take a look at some people who hit huge for them. Carpenter, big hits. Sweeney, big hits. Baez scored 4 runs. Colton Keith. He had, or Colt Keith, not Colton Keith. Colt Keith. He wound up getting his 3rd home run, and Olson struck out 8 in fewer than 6 innings. I mean, the Tigers are just firing on all cylinders right now.
I thought we were going to stop talking about pitchers that have beaten Cleveland, because Tommy Kahnle was he gave the Cleveland problems for the game against the Yankees in the ALCS last year. And I think the Tigers saw that and they thought, well, we're going to go out and sign this guy because Cleveland couldn't hit him. There are not a lot of pitchers and pitches that can beat Jose Ramirez, as we know, but there is one pitch that can beat Jose Ramirez, and that is the changeup. And that's what Tommy Kahnle does really well. So he's pitching really well for them. The Guardians and Tigers haven't even played yet. I think that's a guy they signed with the Guardians in mind, because he kills Jose Ramirez. The changeup's just so good. He kills the Guardians. So yeah, I'm not surprised at all by that one either. That's a guy I really wanted the Guardians to sign over the offseason. They were on Gleyber Torres, hasn't even picked things up either. They essentially signed Gleyber Torres to replace Javi Baez, and now both of them are playing really well. Everything is working out for them. Like, they haven't even won a whole lot of Jack Flaherty starts yet.
I know. By the way, the Royals clobbered in a weird slugfest with Baltimore the other day. Witt obviously had a great game. Pasquantino had a great game. Garcia had a great game. The Royals have been a little bit up and down, but I think they're a talented team, and they will, especially any team that has a legit AL MVP candidate in there. Granted, he's not going to win because Aaron Judge is alive. But the team that I think is most interesting in terms of when we approach, we're about to approach, we're narrowing in on the middle third of the season. The first third of the season ends roughly around Memorial Day. Then you get to that middle third where you have to make the decision: are we a contender and are we going to go for it, or are we going to start trading? Are we going to bring everyone from the minor leagues, or are we going to start, rebuilding? And you take a look at Minnesota, who, lest we forget, was a contender until the last month of the season last year, and looked like they were poised to make a big step the right way. Nothing's going right with the Minnesota Twins, as they're closer to the White Sox than they are to Detroit right now. And even though they have Ryan, who's a good pitcher, and Bailey Ober is a good pitcher, and Duran is a good closer, Correa has improved a little bit, but this is not a team that's playing with any sense of consistency right now. They wound up winning the series against Boston, so we're going to see if that is a step in the right direction for them. But if they have a lousy May and June, they're going to have to think long and hard about, are we going to rebuild?
Yeah, it could be a lot of jobs on the line in Minnesota. I picked the Twins to win the division, Sully. I did. I thought they would.
I remember that.
I liked their pitching staff. I thought they had a deep enough lineup. Their bullpen was decent, but yeah, their bullpen has kind of underperformed in some ways, and the pitching's been a little bit inconsistent. Yeah, Carlos Correa, and they can't just shake injuries. They can't. I mean, even their top prospect, Walker Jenkins, hasn't even played a game yet this year. That's how things have been going for Minnesota Twins in 2025. But this continues to be a reoccurring thing for them. Like, Royce Lewis isn't back yet. This is just kind of who they are the last couple of years. And at some point you have to say, like, maybe this is who they are. Maybe things need to change. And I thought Rocco Baldelli was the only guy in the Central on the hot seat coming into the year.
Yeah, I think I think the whole team's on the hot seat right now. And, it's funny, in 2023, when they finally got off the schneid and they finally won a postseason game and they advanced to the division series, and actually, lest we forget, they split the first two games with Houston. And it was like, oh wow, are the Twins gonna move on? And you got the sense, okay, they got that monkey off their back. They haven't won a postseason game since 04, blah, 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 blah. And did I mention blah? And you thought maybe this would be shake it off, pull a Taylor Swift and move on. And man, it's not been looking good. And this is a critical couple of months. And if you're a team in the American League Central, if the Twins bow out and start, pulling off trades, suddenly it's made the pathway to the American League Central title, I don't want to say easier, but certainly more focused than it was last year when, the Tigers and the Royals kind of crashed the party.
I'm trying to think on the Twins, who would be out? Like, who are you trading on the Twins? Because
Joe Ryan.
Joe Ryan is but he's a young starter who has club control, and Pablo Lopez has a contract. Nobody's going to want Carlos Correa because of his contract and his injury issues. Yeah. You're probably not going to trade Byron Buxton. You're not trading Royce Lewis. Like, I don't know, like Johan Duran. Like, I don't know if that's the guy you want to trade. I'm just looking at that team and I'm like, I don't know who on this team I would actually trade. But I don't think the front office is going to want to trade either because they're trying to save their jobs. I think if anything, they're probably if those guys. I mean, and they have an ex Guardians assistant GM and Derek Falvey. If those guys are selling off, they're probably selling off for somebody else who's going to make those decisions about the roster next season. So I don't necessarily know that they're going to have the incentive to sell off.
Well, there's the other elephant in the room. I'm not talking about Stomper, the mascot for the A's. Twins might be up for sale. And when teams are up for sale, sometimes big changes are about, and sometimes things like payrolls get dropped. I mean, these are things that are floating. The Twins are definitely dipping their toe into the water. The ownership, the Pollard Group, is definitely dipping their toes in the water of, are we going to sell, or do we want to just get out of this thing? And when teams are up for sale, suddenly things like, hey, he's a player with team control, is not quite the same thing that it was just a few months ago.
Yeah, I mean, they pulled it off the market after where did the Suns owner go? He invested in the White Sox. So like, yeah, who's gonna buy that team? They took back off the market. I don't know where that's gonna go. I really don't.
I got my money right here. Starting with these two. We're going to start to build on that. Justin, you and I are going to buy the team. I invested the first $2. If you can, we can do a GoFundMe. If you can just get the rest of it, that'd be fantastic.
I think the entire city of Cleveland would turn on me and our podcast if I went out and bought the Minnesota Twins, unless I did urge the GM to trade off all their players and make the Guardians' pathway easier. Although I will say, you're talking about how there's really no super team in the AL. There's no like major front runner. If the Twins do sell off, if there are pieces, they trade Joe Ryan. Who do you think Joe Ryan's being traded to? The New York Yankees, probably, because they don't have Garrett Cole this year. That makes, the Cubs could sure use him too. I mean, if they go out and they trade any of those guys on their roster to an American League team, that automatically makes the path, like you said, it might make the path to AL Central a little bit easier, but it makes the path to the World Series a lot harder because some of these teams in the American League could gear up. I mean, the Orioles sure could use some pieces, even though they're struggling. It could make the American League harder if the Twins have to go out and sell off some pieces to other teams in the American League. But yeah, I would rather have Joe Ryan if they trade him to the Cubs than the Yankees, personally.
When we come back, we're going to talk about Cleveland, and they may not be off to the superstar that Detroit is, but they certainly look like contenders. Hey, Justin, you ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? You know, between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. And that is where Monarch Money comes in. It's your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So you stop just managing your money and you start building wealth. Now, I started using Monarch and I didn't realize all the things I was spending money on, all the different accounts I had, all the different subscriptions. Oh my God, I forgot that gym even existed. Now I budget smarter and I save more. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, even plan long-term goals. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track, share, and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without all the stress. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. All right, Justin Lada is the host of Locked On Guardians. He has hosted every year of Locked On Guardians because there were Locked On Indians before that. Let's see how they did there. Weird weekend for the Guardians in Toronto, but they wound up winning. It was there's moments where fingernails were chewed in Cleveland watching the game, but at this point, wins are wins. Even with Bybee getting hurt, and Class A clearly is not the Class A of last year, but got the save. So, what do you think about this weekend? It was this kind of weird up and down, strange weekend that they had.
That was a good way to put it. You're like, I don't know, but they won. That's kind of in the story of the whole Guardians year. You're like, I don't know, but they won. They're 20-14. It's good. They haven't played their best baseball yet. I keep saying that. And the discussion we keep having on Locked On Guardians is like, is this who they are? Are better days ahead? They're winning even though they haven't played good baseball. Are they going to start playing good baseball? Yeah, Tanner Bybee is going to be fine. He just had cramps. Jose Ramirez tripped over first base, had a mild right ankle sprain, and everybody was able to exhale on Sunday when he was back in the lineup. Thank goodness. Yeah, Manuel Clase has yet to find even his 2023 form, and he wasn't even that good in 2023. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm still going to say I'm convinced the Guardians have better days ahead. Yeah, Tanner Bybee's been inconsistent. Gavin Williams was a not a Cy Young prediction in spring training, but he was a guy who everyone thought was going to have a breakout year. He has not yet. Clase has not figured it out. Carlos Santana had a bad April, as he always does. The Guardians have got nothing out of right field. They got nothing out of Lane Thomas before he hit the IL, and he might come back. And they do have, second half guys coming back. Shane Bieber should come back. David Fry should come back. They might get John Means in August. There's some relievers like Trevor Stephan that are getting healthy. All those things should be good things. I do think better days are ahead for them. It's encouraging that they're winning when they're not playing their best baseball. some things for them have been unlucky. Like they are one of the last teams in baseball in terms of average on balls in play. So some things have not gone their way and they're winning. So when things get better, they should be better. But a lot of people continue to question, well, maybe this is who they are. And I guess I stand with your point, Sully. Like you can't check the standings. You can't check any of that until Memorial Day weekend. Hopefully they will start showing some better signs by then, though.
One thing you can be happy about is that the wins you get in April and May are as equal the same as the wins you get in August and September, and you try not to lose dumb games early on. But there is the Guardians do have a strategy, which is if all else fails, Daniel Schneemann is going to save the day. Yesterday, he had, for those who didn't know what he had on Saturday, Toronto was ahead, I think, the entire game. And it just looked like, okay, this is one of those games where, Cleveland is kind of dead from the neck up today. And Daniel Schneemann came up and had a leadoff home run in the 8th inning to make it 3-1. And then with 2 outs, and the bases loaded, and Cleveland still losing 3-1. Schneemann hit a grand slam to give them the lead. In comes Clase, 1-2-3 inning, boom, just like they scripted it. I mean, I didn't watch yesterday's game, but I saw the scores, and I saw it was 3-0 going into the 8th, and I just remember thinking, well, okay, Blue Jays won that one. And then later, after doing some things with my dog and coming home and checking the scores, oh man, Cleveland won. And then I watched the highlights and go like, how did they win this? And you know what? You think about Earl Averill, Jim Thome, who are the great Cleveland baseball players? Bob Feller, obviously he's going to be up there. Daniel Schneemann, he's going to be up there. Tris Speaker. These are the ones you put the statues to outside. Larry Doby. These are the legends of Cleveland baseball. Daniel Schneemann.
Yeah, Daniel Schneemann should take his place in the Guardians.
By the way, did I pronounce that wrong? I thought it was Schneemann. I've never said his name until yesterday.
Daniel Schneemann. Yeah, Schneemann.
Schneemann.
Yeah,
okay.
He'll get his park in Heritage Park, his plaque in Heritage Park any day now. Yeah, Daniel Schneemann has been a really fun player in his career in terms of where he's come from. 33rd round pick. I think he doubled
today. He got a double today.
Yeah, he had a great weekend. I mean, the entire win on Saturday was due to him, and they got some walks in front of him too. But that's the thing we've been saying too, especially on Locked On Guardians, is Daniel Schneemann a long-term answer for the Guardians? I don't know, but you know what he is? He's Mr. Right Now, and he's playing really well for them, and he had more barrels. I don't know how deep you dive into analytics, Sully, but he had more barrels this weekend than he had all of last season. So clearly something is working for him, and teams are probably going to stop throwing him fastballs here pretty soon. But if you throw him a fastball, he's going to hit it, and thank God for the Guardians he did, because he really pulled them back from the dead. They had one hit going into the 8th inning before he had that one. So teams are going to start fearing Daniel Schneemann very soon, and he should be in the lineup every day. He could be in the lineup for them every day. He plays center, he plays right, he plays second. He can play short and third if you need him. He's a great 26 man. Yeah, he could. Yeah, absolutely could be.
And of course, wins like this, you're going to get unlikely heroes. And Colby Allard, did I pronounce that correct? Yes. He came out and yesterday gave the team 4 innings of 1-hit relief. When Gavin Williams, by the way, Gavin Williams struck out 9, and it wasn't that, but he left a ton of base runners and threw 100 pitches in 4 innings. And Allard came in, and make note of this, managers. Allard pitched well, so don't you didn't have to have the parade of relievers. They didn't have to. Most of the staff got the day off the other day as he pitched He pitched well, so let relieve pitchers when they need relief. Heaven forbid. And the Cade Smiths and the Hunter Gattises of the world got the day off yesterday, and they needed it because Bivey was hurt, so they had to dip into the bullpen earlier than they wanted to. But a moment like that where Colby Allard comes out and says, "Yeah, I'll give you 4 innings of relief." I love games like that where a pitcher comes out and says, "Yeah, I got this," as opposed to, "All right, everyone faces your 3 batters," and then they wonder why at the end of the year, "Geez, why is our bullpen so gassed?" I don't know, because he used everyone 90 times. You didn't say, hey, this guy threw 7 pitches in the last inning. Maybe he can go a second inning.
Yeah, Colby, that's the second time Colby Allard's done that too. They had that
Yeah.
blowout against the Red Sox over last weekend, and he came in and saved the bullpen and threw shutout innings. A guy who, nobody really knew if he was going to be on their roster on opening day. They needed a second lefty, and that's how you win games. Even in losses too. That's how you win
Yeah.
games, is because you survive the war of attrition. Somebody comes in and soaks up the innings, so Cade Smith and Emmanuel Clase and Tim Herron and Hunter Gaddis don't have to. But sometimes those guys come in and they keep things close, and your offense comes in and they figure it out. All you got to do is throw up a zero. You can sit there and say, well, this won't be sustainable going forward. Maybe he won't be able to do it. He doesn't strike anybody out. Maybe he won't. But you won the game that day when maybe you shouldn't have, or maybe he helps you win a game in a couple of days when the bullpen stays rested. Those things matter in a 162 game season, and everybody has pitching attrition right now, and they're going to continue to have it. So you need those guys on the roster. That's why you don't want a roster with 26 players or one player. You need, that's why there's a 40-man roster.
And also, this is when you have what is undoubtedly going to be another tight divisional race. Win as many games you have no business winning early, because those are the games you don't have to get later. When we come back, Justin and I are going to talk about what we think is going to happen and what improvements Cleveland needs to make in the immediate future. Yeah, have you been to a game yet this year live, Justin?
Sure have.
Where do you see him? You went to see Cleveland, I am assuming.
Cleveland, minor league baseball. I got some road trips planned. I'm going all kinds of places this year, Sully.
Well, I've been to one major league game, and it was played in Sacramento, but I'm not allowed to say what team plays in Sacramento. It's a secret. But I got my tickets through Game Time. And let me tell you something. If you're looking to go last minute, Game Time makes tickets easier. With last minute deals, all in prices, and the lowest price guaranteed, Game Time makes the stress of buying Major League Baseball tickets disappear. Plus, ticket prices drop as Game Time gets closer. So let's just say tickets are available in Sacramento. Let's just say that. That means you can get an incredible deal the closer you get to first pitch. Now, I got my tickets at Sutter Health Park to see your, don't mention the city, Athletics play these San Diego Padres. And I got to take a look at exactly where I was sitting, because I got to view my seat. I previewed the seat. Fantastic. And you get the Game Time Picks feature. It means you can get the best deals. It's effortless. It filters out the fluff. And your last minute tickets, boom, spontaneous game night. Fantastic deals. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. They always do. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets. The lowest prices. Do you know what they are? They're guaranteed. Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for making either Locked On MLB or Locked On Guardians your first listen today. For your second listen or your third listen, because listen to Justin's and I first. Listen to the new Locked On MLB game night every night here on the Locked On MLB feed. You get local analysis on a national scale. Follow MLB game night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. All right, Justin Lada of Locked On Guardians, final segment here. From where I'm looking, I think Cleveland's rotation will, some players will come back. I think you'll see their pitching will be fine. From where I'm sitting, this team needs a bat. This team, and it almost feels like they need a bat at any position. With Quan, obviously Ramirez is going to come. Ramirez is he'll come back. He'll be all right. And Gabriel Arias is doing a fine job on the field at second base. So I'm not going to replace him, but they need another bat. Now Martinez is doing well, and he's hitting, and he's hit well recently. And of course, Mr. Schneemann is I mean, it's going to be either Aaron Judge or Schneemann as the AL MVP. It's going to be down to them, and I think it's only 1 point, like 0.1 in WAR will separate the two by the time the year is over. They need another bat to keep the rally going, and that doesn't have to be just another bat who's not an out. Am I wrong in my analysis there? That should be priority number one. I've just got another professional hitter in there.
Yeah, your argument it depends on what year it is, Sully. Your argument could have been right 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, last year. It's right now. Yeah, Kyle Manzardo has stepped up and hit for power this year. Jose is going to be fine. I think Juan's an all-star. We'll see what happens to Carlos Santana. I mean, David Fry is coming back. He's really just a DH. He can't play the field this year, so that's going to be interesting. They'll count on him to give them some at-bats against lefties. But yeah, they've got nothing out of right field. Like Nolan Jones is drawing walks. He's hitting the ball hard. And that's about it. Like he's getting a little bit unlucky, but at some point those results have to come through, right? John Kensington hit 2 home runs last week, but he's been struggling all year long. They do need someone in right field. Maybe Chase DeLauder will get healthy, and that'll be the answer. I don't know. Lane Thomas at some point has to come back, and they need him. So it's probably going to be mostly internal. Like again, DeLauder or somebody in right field figuring it out. Lane Thomas coming back figuring it out. Maybe Travis Bazzana makes it to the majors this year. Maybe not. But yeah, they definitely need another bat somewhere. They got to replace their shortstop. They're getting nothing at shortstop. They can move Gabriel Arias to shortstop. They can play, Hammer and Daniel Schneemann every day at second base if they need to, and ride the hot hand while they can. But yes, they definitely need another bat somewhere on the field, preferably right field or shortstop.
I'm keeping my eyes on teams that could probably be sellers. Obviously the White Sox are going to be sellers. And I love people talk about Luis Robert Jr. as if he's Manny Ramirez in his prime. He's not. I mean, he can steal a bunch of bases when he gets hot. He can hit a home run or two, but he's not the superstar that he was, or that he was projected to be. And the problem with some of the teams that are going to be probably sellers is the reason they're sellers is they don't have a lot of talented players on the team. The Angels are probably going to start dumping bodies over the side of the boat. The Colorado Rockies, they're not going to trade Tovar. He's their shortstop. They're not going to trade, so it's going to be interesting to see who's in there. Is there a star coming up through the Guardian system who may be able to be someone you plug in and take a flyer on either as a hitter or as a shortstop?
Yeah, they got to get Chase DeLauder healthy. He's the guy who probably should have already made his major league debut if he had been healthy and he could play right field. And then they could put Travis Bazzana at second base and move Gabriel Arias to second base or to shortstop, or somebody else to shortstop long term. But Bazzana's got to start hitting in Double-A right now. He's kind of off to a tepid start. So those two guys, if there was a world where Travis Bazzana gets it together this year and forces Cleveland's hand and Chase DeLauder gets healthy, you put those two guys in the lineup, things are really good for Cleveland. That's a really good outcome. But the probability of both those things happening, probably less than Shohei Ohtani ever coming back to the Angels.
Where is Bazzana right now?
He's in Akron. He's playing for the Duckies, and he's
doing
okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Well. All right. Well, that I have a soft spot in my heart for Cleveland baseball. They are the team that is slowly creeping on. The Red Sox and the Cubs and the White Sox my whole life were the teams that had the longest stretches. And Cleveland is inching towards that same length of a World Series futility. And as we both know, since the wild card was introduced, only 2 teams have lost Game 7 of the World Series in extra innings. And they both were in Cleveland, which, by the way, was one of the main reasons why when people kept wanting to have the Chief Wahoo hat, I kept saying it's not been a good luck charm. They didn't even win the World Series in the Major League movies. But the fact of the matter is it's a wide open American League. And while Detroit right now looks like the best team in the American League, Cleveland is right on their tail, and it only would take a few adjustments to win that division. And if they win the division, every other American League team is vulnerable right now. The Yankees are not a superpower. And, they're good. They're probably going to be 90 to 95 wins. So is Detroit. Seattle's currently low 90. Like, I think only 5 games are going to separate the best team in the American League and a team that missed the wild card. So Cleveland has as good a chance as any. So come on, Cleveland, come trade deadline, add to that payroll, and let's go. Come on. Justin Lada is sad, and I want to see him happy.
Thank you. It's a change from you hating on the Midwest last time we did a show together.
Don't hate the Midwest. Everyone thinks I hate them. Everyone thinks I hate them, and then someone else thinks I talk about the whole stadium situation in Oakland and Las Vegas and Tampa too much. I'm sorry, it's news. I'm what do you want from me? It's an interesting story, but we didn't talk about it at all today. So everyone can go pound sand. And by the way, let's do today's trivia question. And today's trivia question is this: there are 3 players in the history of the Cleveland Naps, Guardians, Indians, whatever you want to call them, in the history of that franchise, 3 players have hit 1,900 hits or more while wearing a Cleveland uniform. Who is the only player to hit 2,000 hits in a Cleveland uniform? That's the trivia question. Put your answer down there. I will answer it tomorrow. And Justin Lada, I'll tell you who it is, but after we're done, because I don't want to spoil it for those out there. Justin, where can people listen to your terrific show?
We are at Locked On Guardians on YouTube and all of your favorite podcast formats 5 days a week. Proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your Cleveland Guardians every day. Love you, Sully.
And by the way, I'll spoil it. The answer, the only player to get 2,000 hits in a Cleveland uniform, Daniel Schneemann. That's a little known fact. He got his 2,000th hit just the other day. That's how good he's been. Follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter, or whatever they're calling it these days, and on Instagram. I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. But leave your comments and the answer to the question right here on the YouTube page. Talking about the American League Central with Justin Lada, who knows a thing or two about that. This has been a Locked On MLB, Locked On Guardians crossover. He's Justin Lada. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.